Everyday consumption of kiwi fruits, especially with the whole fruit with peel, was shown to improve lipid homeostasis and gut microbiota diversity. Why? It turns out that the fiber in kiwis seem to be really loved by our gut bacteria, particularly the good ones. And in fact, the polyphenols in kiwi also selectively increases the better bacteria in our gut. Another study in humans showed that kiwi fruit is a prebiotic that selectively enhances the growth of intestinal lactic acid bacteria. Now, people have heard of lactic acid bacteria. It turns out that, as you'll read in the gut-brain paradox, we have, hopefully, a very good balance between good and bad bacteria. And they're supposed to be there, bad ones as well as good ones. But it's when that balance gets out of whack that the problems occur. And we can actually measure that balance in my patients. And interestingly enough, lactobacilli are a bunch of the really good guys in your gut. And so many of my patients, they don't have very many lactobacilli. So eating kiwis are a great way to increase those lactobacilli. In fact, the gold kiwi is so good at this, there are even companies that sell gold kiwi supplements. Now, here's a fun fact. According to one study, eating kiwi can actually help you fall asleep quicker and stay asleep longer. They actually contain vitamin B6, which can help tired muscles relax, and they're a great source of magnesium, a mineral that's crucial for getting good sleep. Now, there's a study involving volunteers, 25 people, who self-reported sleep disturbances. This study demonstrated that consumption of 2 kiwi fruit 1 hour before bedtime for a month significantly improved actigraphy measured total sleep time. That's a fancy way of doing a sleep study in a sleep lab, by 17%, and sleep efficiency by 2.5%. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it was actually very statistically significant. So, survey says one of the best fruits you can eat is a kiwi fruit. How do you eat it with the peel? Here's the easiest way to do it. Chop the ends off with a knife, and when you start, cut it in quarters, and then eat it like as a sliver. Eventually, cut the ends off and eat it like an apple. Now, just because it's probably the best fruit you can eat doesn't mean to go hog wild and eat them all day. But from now on, I want you to replace that saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, with a kiwi a day keeps the doctor away. Just remember, don't peel them, eat the fuzzy part. And some of the best polyphenols are in the skin, as well as those gut buddy boosting prebiotics. Believe it or not, there are a number of fruits that are quite low in fructose, and you really want to avoid the high fructose fruits. So my favorite ones are berries, particularly raspberries and blackberries. Surprisingly, blueberries have now been hybridized so much that they have much higher fructose than ever before. So blueberries of the berry family fall way down the list. Boysenberries, mulberries, if you can find them, are also low fructose fruits. Now here's one that probably surprises you. Kiwi fruit. Kiwi fruit, particularly if you eat the peel, the furry, hairy part, has huge amounts of fiber and quite low fructose, making it actually one of the best bang for your bucks in eating fruit. Not much fructose, lots of fiber. Another one is a crispy pear. Now this is totally different than a ripe, like a Bartlett pear. A crispy pear is designed to stay crispy and not ripen, and it also has low fructose. But remember, once you allow anything, even a crispy pear, to ripen fully, it becomes a fructose bomb. There are persimmons in the fall that are relatively low in fructose, but be warned. I actually have 2 different patients who saw that persimmons are allowed on our list because they have a lot of fiber, quite honestly. And they went on a persimmon kick, and you wouldn't believe what happened to them. Their insulin levels went up, their triglycerides went through the roof, and they each actually gained about 10 pounds just going on a healthy persimmon kick. And believe it or not, that's what fruit was designed to do. It was designed to have us gain weight. Passion fruit is fantastic, high fiber, low fructose. Another one of my favorites is pomegranate seeds. Do not drink pomegranate juice. You are concentrating the fructose whenever you're having any juice, and that goes along with pomegranate juice. But the pomegranate seeds are actually mostly fiber and some really cool omega fats that you really can't get anywhere else but in the pomegranate seed. So those are my favorite in-season fruits. Question I get all the time, well, what happens if you take an in-season fruit like berries and freeze them and then use them in the winter? Wouldn't that be okay? All I can tell you is that none of us evolved even recently to have year-round fruit, even if it was picked in season. So it's really one of the reasons I invented some of my best-selling products, was to give you the benefits of the polyphenols and the fibers in fruits, removing the fructose, which is the mischief maker. So please don't fall for that trap. Okay, so that's my quick take on fruit. You're going to see some fascinating new things in the energy paradox about fruit and why fructose in all its forms may be one of your biggest energy drainers there are. Fruit, particularly dark berries, are great for you in season, but they're not great for you out of season. Okay, so where are the 3 top ones? Well, number 1, I'm a huge fan of blackberries. It's one of the smartest fruit choices that you can make, especially when they're in season. Now, there's just 7 grams of sugar per cup. Just to give you a quickie, there are 4 grams of sugar in a teaspoon of table sugar. So that's about 2 teaspoons of sugar in a cup of blackberries. Now, they're loaded with a type of polyphenol that are called anthocyanins. Those are those dark purple polyphenols that have been shown to support heart health, gut health, even blood sugar regulation, and, if you've read The Energy Paradox, mitochondrial uncoupling, which is one of the best things you can do for your health and your mitochondrial health. Plus, they're quite high in fiber, and fiber also is another prebiotic for your good gut buddies. So it's a win-win for the bugs, a win-win for you. But be careful. A lot of these in the winter are coming from Chile and Argentina, so they're truly not in season. And I have blackberries in my garden. And I can assure you that I get, a couple months of blackberries, and that's it. So just buyer beware whenever you see these compounds. Number 2, and probably tied maybe ahead of blackberries or raspberries. They're tied with blackberries in terms of gut-brain benefits, but they're even lower in sugar. They only have 5 grams per cup. So that's about a teaspoon of sugar in a whole cup of raspberries. Now, they're packed with fiber and polyphenols. There's a really cool polyphenol called elagitanin. Now, elagitannins help your gut bacteria produce a compound that I've written about. We've seen it here on the podcast called urolithin A, which is a really fascinating postbiotic that's been shown to support mitochondrial uncoupling, mitophagy, which is the recycling of mitochondria that have been damaged, and mitogenesis, the building of new mitochondria. And believe it or not, the more you build, the happier they are, the more energy you have, and the more muscle mass you have in human studies, and they also fight aging. So why not? Not bad for a little berry. Now, pomegranates also are loaded with this same polyphenol, but they're technically not a berry, so they're still a fruit winner. Number 3, when I'm in Europe, I frequently am served black and red currants. And currants are one of the incredible powerhouses of polyphenols, and they're a berry. You have to hunt for them in the United States. Luckily, we're getting more and more of them, but they're incredibly common to be served for breakfast, for a dessert with cheese. And if you see them, try them. Black currants can positively change the gut microbiome, making it much more diverse. One of our favorite sayings is, you are only as young as your blood vessels are flexible. And so black currant extract made human beings' blood vessels more flexible. Obviously a good thing. Skin health. In a study of 50 women ages 40 to 65 with wrinkles and dry skin, red and black currant extract led to significant improvements in wrinkle reduction and moisture after 12 weeks. That's 3 months. And remember, your gut and your skin are intimately connected. Your lining of your gut is basically your skin turned inside out. So what happens on the inside of your gut directly affects what happens on your skin. And that's why I included red and black currant extract in my BioSkin Youth Complex, for that very reason. All right, here's bonus berry number 4. Aronia berries, aka choke berries. Now, these are antioxidant polyphenol powerhouses and worth seeking out. A type of chokeberry is one of the richest sources of polyphenols, Aronia melanocarpa. That actually means dark body. They contain 4 times more anthocyanins than blueberries. They're excellent for cardiovascular health. They may help support digestion, improve heart and blood vessel function, and they do maintain healthy cholesterol levels within the normal range. One study even showed that aronia berries can support brain function thanks to their incredibly high anthocyanin content. That's why they made it into my Vital Reds formula, which, by the way, you probably see me sipping every time. Oh, I just had a shot of aronia berries. Yummy. Now, luckily, you've probably never seen them in a grocery store, but they are becoming more widely available. You can usually find them frozen, which is the easiest option, and we're starting to see them fresh in some well-stocked stores. So if you see them, it's worth looking for them and trying them out. That's my bonus berry polyphenol for the day. Now, final thoughts. If you want to supercharge your gut, your mitochondria, your skin, and your brain, polyphenols are the key. And these 4 berries are some of the best ways to get them. Just remember, please, please, please buy in season. And local is best. Go to your farmer's market. Find out where they got them, if they're growing them. The other thing is, consume them in moderation. A lot of people hear, oh, Dr. Gundry loves all these things. I'm going to go to a big box store and I'm going to buy 2 pounds of them and I'm going to eat them in a single sitting. That's not what I'm telling you to do. And unfortunately, I get to see it in my patients' blood work when things change for the worse in terms of their cholesterol and triglycerides. And it turns out they literally thought they should be eating boxes of blackberries and raspberries every day. And that's exactly what you don't want to do. Moderation is the key. How about cacao? Yes, cacao, chocolate is a fruit, but only if you eat it like one. So raw or fermented cacao, not Dutch processed cocoa powder and candy bars, is rich in polyphenols and brain-supporting compounds. Now, I add it to my coffee every morning. Loquat. I have a couple of loquat trees in my yard. It's originally from China. These are very fiber-rich fruits that really help satiety. They're becoming more common at farmers markets, especially here in California. And if you see them, try them. They actually are very tasty. Acai. Now, sometimes you see it whole, mostly you see it frozen. The berry itself is a powerhouse of anthocyanins and other polyphenols. But please skip the acai bowls. They're usually sugar bombs disguised as a health food. Mangosteens, particularly in Northern California, farmers markets are full of mangosteens in season. And mangosteen polyphenols are really great for you. Star fruit, we're beginning to see those. You can eat them sliced whole. You can eat the skin. And of course, there's breadfruit. Now, breadfruit has been a staple for particularly South American cultures. And breadfruit is another great source of fiber, prebiotic fiber. Well, how about exotic fruits to avoid? Unfortunately, a ripe mango is one of the highest sugar-containing foods there is. That's why we love them so much. And I see some of my patients go on mango kicks, and I can see it in their blood work. Their triglycerides go up. Their insulin resistance goes up. They become pre-diabetic because they've got a mango tree in their yard, and we certainly don't want to waste it. Instead, pick mangoes green. They are fabulous as a prebiotic fiber. Most Thai restaurants have a green mango or green papaya salad, and they're using it for the real reason it was created, to feed gut bacteria. Now, goji berries. I'm sorry, despite their health food reputation, goji berries are part of the nightshade family. They were the wolfberry of Americas, and they were taken to China in trade during Columbian trade, and they grew great in China. But do not be confused. They are a nightshade family. And so just avoid them. There's better substitutes. Golden berries, they're another nightshade. Now, yeah, they do have some nutrients, but for most people, the risk really exceeds the benefit, especially if you have gut issues. Guava. Now, some of the smaller varieties are rich in polyphenols, but most guava and guava nectar is loaded with sugar. It's not worth it unless you really know the source or have one growing in your backyard. Now, did you ever wonder why fruit tastes so good? Well, you can actually thank a genetic mutation and evolution. Now, great apes, about 10 million years ago, suffered a genetic mutation, and they stopped making an enzyme called uricase that broke down a product of fructose metabolism called uric acid. Uric acid and triglycerides both are products of fructose metabolism. Please understand, fructose is a mitochondrial toxin. I'm sorry, it is. Fructose is so dangerous that rather than being absorbed directly into our bloodstream, like glucose, most of fructose is taken directly to the liver. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, where it's detoxified into triglycerides, a fat, and uric acid. Why would that be so interesting? Well, it turns out that great apes who suffered this mutation during a time of climate change when forests were receding, great apes could take the fructose in ripe fruit and convert it into fat, number one, triglycerides, and number two, produce uric acid that produced insulin resistance. And if you listen to me enough, we know that insulin resistance increases the storage of fat, prevents fat breakdown, and is one of the biggest drivers of our dismal outcome right now. So what? So great apes could outcompete other monkeys to store fat for the lean times, whereas other monkeys couldn't. That made them the great apes, and they actually populated much of the world because they could travel on their fat. We, when we diverged from great apes about 6 to 8 million years ago, share that mutation. Now, for years, it was called the thrifty gene. because we thought that somehow presto changeo, because we went long time without food, and we could walk long distances without food, and we were deprived of food, that we developed presto changeo, this magical thrifty gene. It's only been in recent years that we now realize that that thrifty gene is in fact the genetic mutation that allowed great apes to store fat from fruit and allows us to store fat from fructose. So what was of huge benefit to great apes and early humans, being able to eat fruit in season, take advantage of that fructose and convert it into fat and keep it stored as fat because of uric acid levels, became a major disadvantage to most of us now, because we now have 365 days of endless summer. And that mutation allows us now to constantly store fructose from fruit or from high fructose corn syrup as fat. And what was once what made us and great apes great has become one of our major limiting factors. Okay, now, what kind of fruit were these apes eating? What kind of fruit did modern humans eat before all this? It was wild, it was small, it was very fibrous, and most importantly, it was seasonal. Fruit does not ripen in the jungle year-round. That's not how it happens. It is a seasonal thing. Just because we can grow strawberries down the road in Oxnard, California in January because of hybridization doesn't make that an in-season fruit. And just because a 747 can bring blueberries to Costco in February from Chile or Argentina doesn't make that a seasonal fruit. So it's this access to continuous fructose that's one of the big drivers of our insulin resistance, of our fat